ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהכל נהיה בדברו. The Torah, the 5 books of Moses, are divided into some 50 sections called Parshiyot, so that every week you read a different section in the synagogue. Now, the Jewish calendar doesn't have 52 weeks every year. We have a different calendar because we guide ourselves by the moon, but also correcting with the sun, the cycle, the yearly cycle of the sun. So sometimes we read 2 portions, 1 portion, but in any event, in the course of a year, we finish reading the Torah. And as I say, some 50 parts is what the Torah is divided into. Okay, 4 of those parts deal with the building of the tabernacle, in Hebrew Mishkan. When our ancestors were in the desert, the first month of the 2nd year that they left Egypt, they inaugurated this Mishkan. They built this Mishkan. This was, according to Ramban, my late teacher, Rabbi Soloveitchik, used to cite this was like a portable Mount Sinai. They were leaving Mount Sinai, but the tabernacle was sort of a symbol of Mount Sinai. It was the residence of God, because at Mount Sinai they felt the presence of God. So all the 40 years in the desert, they had this tabernacle accompanying them and felt the presence of God. Actually, this tabernacle lasted for 4 centuries, if I'm not mistaken, in the land of Israel before the Beit HaMikdash, which is the temple in Jerusalem, was built. Because the tabernacle was really the model for the temple in Jerusalem, the Beit HaMikdash. Now, what about the 10 Commandments? How many of these parts of the Torah speak about the 10 Commandments? Actually, 10 Commandments is mentioned twice in the Torah, and each time with about 20 verses or something like that. That's it. No more. It's not like the tabernacle so much. Why the tabernacle so much and the 10 Commandments so little? And about the tabernacle, you're told every minutia how everything was done. Why was this necessary? I don't know. This is the way God decided. This is what the Torah tells. Maybe it wants to show us the contrast, the difference between Egypt and the Jewish people. You know, in Egypt, there were priests. They knew how to embalm bodies. For instance, these pyramids that have survived centuries, you know, are really tombs for the very important people. The more important, the bigger the tomb was. As a matter of fact, they even used to bury slaves together with a person, so then the next world or wherever he's going, he would still have a servant with him. Well, this was their conception. How do you embalm a body? Well, that was a great secret of the priests. You know, priesthood in general is associated with some kind of supernatural magic, some knowledge that they have that you don't have. So maybe the Torah is trying to tell us, you know what, Judaism, everything is on the open. You know, we're going to build a tabernacle. There's a holy of holies, the holiest place. You'll know exactly how to do it. How do you dismantle it? How do you put it together again? Everything is detailed there, so you know exactly. This isn't magic. This is strictly service to God, symbolically the house of God. And it says so in the Torah that on the first month of the 2nd year, I said the tabernacle was finished. The expression in the Torah is Hukam HaMishkan. Hukam. Hukam means it became erected. You know, the language isn't really the right one. What I mean, it became erected. It erected itself. You know, what is this? The word isn't exactly what should have been used. So a rabbi say, just a moment, you know what it is? Maybe the Mishkan is more than the pieces of wood, the cloth, the objects that would, it's more than that. In other words, take a look many a time. You're building a car. There's a motor, the doors, the glass. The car itself, is the car equal to the sum of the parts that compose it? I don't think so. The car is a new entity. Once you put everything together, it has like a life of its own. It is much more than the sum of its components. And there are many things in the world that are like that are really more than the elements that integrate it. There were these lines that Ford invented how to produce a car. All you do is you just make sure one nail goes in. Every time passes by, you bang. You are participating in a whole production. The end product is much more than what it is. You go to school, okay, but you know what culture really is? Somebody said it's what remains after you have forgotten a lot of what you have learned. The change that it produces in you. That is really what learning is all about. It isn't just how many pages of a certain book have you memorized, how many poems do you know by heart, how many multiplication tables you know by heart, how much calculus you know. No, that's not it. Actually, the end result is much more than the sum of its parts. So many a time when you do something and maybe you don't see the reason for it, you feel the effect isn't there. Wait. Once you get everything together, you will see that something new, totally new, really emerges. And I think that the history of the Jewish people has shown that all the difficulties that we have, if you analyze them individually, maybe you don't get the full perspective. But when you take in the entire narrative of the Jewish people, you see how it all integrates and it creates a new individual, a new people. So many a time when you feel a little bit defeated, you feel a little bored, you're doing things, forget about it. That is not the end result. The end result will really be from the sum of many experiences that you have, and you will see you will become a better being, a more important human being, a better member of your family.